Welcome to my propagation station. So what we're going to be doing is taking cuttings today, and this is called cloning. The difference between cloning and doing it by seed is that we're actually taking a cutting off of our host plant, our mother plant, and we're making an exact replica. If you do it by seed, it's just like people. If you once you get a new seed, you could have different hair color, different eye color, but by doing this cutting, you're getting the exact replica. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some cuttings today, and I'm going to show you how to propagate them. I have a kit here that I got these pruners from. These are very sharp, and that's very key for doing these cuttings. What I'm going to be doing is taking this trait of Scanthia, and I'm going to look for these nodes where new growth is going to be coming out of. I'm going to give myself a piece like that, and I'm going to take the leaf and I'm actually going to cut them in half. And that's so that less water is going into these leaves and more is going into producing roots. Then from here, I want to show you my humidity tray and dome. So this is pretty key to be able to keep these very consistent growing habits. In here you have cells that you're going to be planting up with soil. They even give you a marker to mark your plants in so you know what you actually did, so it doesn't look like little twigs in there. So once you fill this up with soil, you're going to be taking these cuttings and you're going to dip it in a rooting powder that I have here. You take it and fill up this whole stem here, nice and full on it, and you're going to stick it right into the soil. Once you have this completely filled, and you can have all the sorts of other cuttings in here, we're going to be putting the dome on top of it. Once you have the dome on here, you can see there's this vent up here. We're going to have this, make sure that it's completely closed. In the very beginning, for 3 to 5 days, you want to have as high humidity as possible for it to start getting roots. After that, you're going to turn these about halfway open. That's called burping, to give it a little bit of air. And that you do for another week or so. Every cutting is going to be slightly different, so you'd want to look up online what type of plant takes what length of time for growing your roots. Once you get past that longer exterior period of time, you're going to open up the holes completely, not giving it the most air. As it starts to dry, the roots will start to reach looking for water. And so you'll also have to start to spritz in there a little bit more often because it will start to dry out more consistently. And you're going to keep that until you start to see some pretty good roots on the bottoms of those. To make it real consistent, I also have this heat mat. And that keeps the temperature very consistent throughout the whole thing. If you want to keep it at temperature at exactly one temperature and your house might fluctuate, this helps out with it. And it gets it growing much faster. So other than that, the other way of doing a cutting is going to be doing succulents, which I will take this tray out of here because you can just take a cutting off of a succulent because they're very easy, stick it in here in the tray, put your dome on, have the windows completely open because you need more airflow. You don't even necessarily have to have the dome, but it does help a little bit in the beginning. And once you start to see roots like this already forming, you're ready to go. You can put this right into some powder and stick it right onto the soil and it'll grow from there. This is called hardening off when you get the stems to be more callous before it grows and puts into roots. Now we're at our next step. In order to give it its natural tropical environment, we're going to give it a few things. We are taking our rooted cutting and we've now transplanted them into a more future home, into a larger pot. What we're going to do is to give it some heat like it would in the tropics is I use my heat mat again, if you'd like to keep it more consistent, and I want to give it some humidity. So here I'm using a humidity tray, and how you do this is it's pretty much a saucer that you're filling with stones and filling a little bit of water into the bottom of this tray. You're not keeping the plants directly on the water. That's why we have the stones, because you're not trying to water from the bottom. It's just as the water evaporates, it gives that moisture in the air for the tropics. And once you go from there, I like to give them a little bit of airflow too. So I have these fans that can adjust and you can mount and you can put some air on. For succulents, you can have the air flowing right on it. With a lot of other tropics, you're going to other plants, you can have it off to the side or the airflow going in different directions so it's not directly on the plant. And then for other saucers, I have down here some more humidity trays or saucers, depending on how you want to use yours. I have these big ones because I, of course, collect a lot of plants, and I use these in the windowsill and just fills a bigger spot with a lot of plants on it.